All right, guys, we are back with another Pickled Dragon Unscripted. Matt, the Pickled Dragon, with the talented Dracoya. Here we are back to talk about more lunacy, if you will. I saw this. I saw this on Twix, the Twitter machine, and I. It's like another one of those things where people are making assumptions about the uh moral moral application of how we play the game. You aren't playing right if you aren't fixing some real world injustice, or as they see it, injustice. Uh, as I see it, presentism, as always. But let's get into it, shall we, Jacoya? Uh,
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah, so the lazy DM Sly Flourish put out a new book, Forges of something or another, and in it they dedicate uh, quite a bit of space to making sure that you're playing your game the right way, the anti-colonial way. And what, pray tell, is anti-colonial? It is
Well,
retarded, is what it is.
you can't say that.
I just did.
Okay.
That just happened.
We're gonna get canceled.
Anyway, yeah. So let me show you what has been floating about the internets and the Twixes. Um, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the content in question where they talk about, making sure that your game is nothing like those filthy OD&D and 1E people who are just of the worst sort and never to be trusted or listened to.
The worst.
Yes. And I like one of the things they say here. We want to have this discussion because being aware and rejecting colonialist ideals in our fantasy role-playing games makes those games better. It's you know what it makes it, Jacoya?
What does it make it, Matt?
It makes it tedious.
Yeah.
Tedious. So here's the list of bullet points they talk about. Avoid monolithic ancestry cultures. All elves, dwarves, and orcs are the same in favor of broader cultural worldview.
So
Well,
now having a culture is bad.
like a broader cultural view, like isn't that really what we talk about when we say, orcs are evil? Like culturally, orcs, sure, there's exceptions, but culturally, orcs are villainous and want nothing but misery and destruction upon the world, right?
Viva los orcs.
Yes. Uh, Use ancestries as adjectives. Gnoll bandits are attacking villages rather than gnolls are attacking villages. To avoid forcing narrow morality on a sentient creature. You know what's funny is that gnolls in 5e are as close to fiendish as you could get without actually being fiendish because they are the creation of Yenogu. And they don't even propagate normally. You got to have like one of those fancy fists of Yenogu bite somebody and then have a hyena eat that person's flesh and then they turn into a gnoll. And it's because they're evil and they're fiendish and they're disgusting. And you know what? Gnolls are attacking the villages. Yes,
But you can't say that.
I just did. So there's that. You know what is okay?
What?
Our shirts and sweatshirts and whatnot, our swag.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, so you need to check
In
out all of
fact,
our stuff.
I'm wearing one right now.
Woohoo!
Choose your weapon.
You could, oh, you vanished.
I did vanish.
Yes, you could be like Freddy Krueger, Jason, or Michael, all those Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface guy, or a gamer with a D20. So,
Yeah.
yes,
Keeps you
check out
warm
our.
when it's snowing outside, like it is right now.
I know, Jakaya has never seen snow before.
I've never seen snow, guys. I've been born and raised in Texas. This is the first time I've ever seen snow in my whole life. Oh my
Boom.
God.
That just happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Focus on villainy as a choice, but not a biological or cultural imperative. Well, I'm sorry, but there are bad cultures, right? There are cultures that you
Do
know
bad things.
that
I
do
would
bad things.
say there's things that in our histories are bad and shouldn't be repeated, like slavery, Hitler,
Yeah.
all the lovely keywords that are going to get us canceled.
Yeah, I mean, there are clearly some cultures that have better morals than others. Let's just leave it at that. And I think orcs have got to be kind of like at the bottom of the pile as terms of, down where the compost heap is getting ready to like turn everything into mud and nastiness. That's where the orcs culture is, right in there. Yeah, are there exceptions? Are there the good orcs, the orcs who design clothes for the runway and fashionable perfumes? Probably
And
not,
tacos.
but maybe, depending on the world they're in. All right, here we go. Avoid the trap of perceiving civilization from a single viewpoint. Well, as the DM, you get to decide what are civilized lands and what are settled lands and what are, you get to make that call. So that is just a wasted cluster of words on a page, you know? It's
Yeah.
kind of like saying, you don't have the right to make that moral judgment. Well, yeah, you do. You're the DM. You're the god of that world. So boom, that just happened. Uh,
Because I'm the DM.
yes, because I'm the DM, damn it. Understand and move away from the trope of heroic characters as saviors of lesser folks. Isn't that what D&D is all about? Like being heroes? Like I can understand that there's going to be occasional like mercenary game or evil campaign or whatever, but every single one of the published adventures in 5e revolve around the players rescuing people who can't rescue themselves. I don't know how else to describe it. This is
Can
like,
I say something?
go
I
for it.
I feel like this is what the foundation of being a good person is supposed to be built on. That you go through your days every day and you just try to be a good person. But what is being a good person? Well, it is helping others. And not everyone is going to be as fortunate or unfortunate as you are. Some people are going to be capable of different things, more or less. And I think that that is what separates, a bad person from a good person is how much you're willing to go out of your way to help the lesser folk.
Yeah,
Furthermore, when you take away somebody's negative attributes, a culture's negative attributes, a person's negative attributes, whatever, when you take these things away, you really rob the individual and the group of people of growth. And without that growth, they're just not interesting. They're not even really lifelike because everyone no matter what era and generation that you were born in, is capable of and has displayed a certain level of growth. And Dungeons and Dragons is taking that away from cultures and from the individuals.
yes, you couldn't have said it better.
Thank
And
you.
this last one on the list really grinds my gears. Make
Does it
use.
crinkle your character sheet?
It does. My character sheet has been crinkled. Somebody used a pen on my character sheet. Even
Okay.
worse. Make use of cultural inspirations from reliable sources. with the aim of centering other cultures and perspectives from a position of respect. So when you start making some uh, flowery introductions to your players about orc culture, you must only highlight that which is good and positive. Uh, you can't you can't highlight the fact that they eat babies and rape and pillage across the landscape of your world. None of that. You can only highlight that which is good. We must remove all the negativity from your campaign because, you know, what you're unwittingly doing is you are breeding people who want to destroy real life cultures. Are they kidding? I mean, like, who do these people think they are? Like,
I
but
think
they
what
can
these
too.
people, Sly Flourish, should do is they need to take a day and watch the Inside Out film. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to be joy and saying, oh no, everything has to be joyful all the time and you can't have sadness. But without realizing that you can't really succeed and have this feeling of joy and accomplishment when there's nothing to accomplish because everything's bloody perfect all the time.
So this next section is where like the eye rolling is so severe you have to be careful not to get whiplash. Like it is, I mean, a person just using common sense could look at this and say, you know, there are people in their little ivory tower at universities who are thinking this shit up. And um they literally are so isolated from the real world that this makes sense to them.
Yeah.
So the history of our modern age has been defined by specific groups of people laying claims to the entire world over centuries of exploration and not caring that the rest of the world had other peoples living in it at the time. The history of colonialism is a history of conflict and warfare, of groups clashing over control and wealth and natural resources, of one group of people raiding into another or raiding into and claiming lands not their own and treating the lives and livelihoods of folk living in those lands as plunder. You know what? People, cultures, countries, nations have been doing this since the dawn of history. You know, the biggest empire that ever existed, I think, was the Mongol Empire. You know, and those people did some horrific things. They moved into Baghdad at its height, had 1 million people in it. It was the center of the learning world. The Mongols moved in, 200,000 people managed to escape. 800,000 people were put to the sword and killed. They executed men, women, and children, all of them. And Baghdad obviously hasn't been the same since. So, you know, I think the fact that the modern world landed in the place, like if we as a civilization, as a human race, had continued on, but the notion of like intertwining economies never happened, which is really why the world settled the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
But the notion that these all of you know the we stopped fighting each other because it became economically unsound to do so, right? Because we all
Right.
of our economies became so intertwined. But if that had never happened, the cycle of murderous rampage for resources would have continued. And you know, possession of all of these lands would continue to turn over and continue to turn over. It just so happens that our modern world is based upon when a Eurocentric people were on top. And these people apparently have a problem with that. And according to them, if any of the above sounds vaguely similar to any fantasy RPG you've ever played, you might get a sense of the problem. So you are the problem if your game world is like this.
So you agree with us, otherwise you're the problem?
You are the problem if you are playing a game in which there is a, a fight over resources,
That's
in
kind of
which,
shitty. They don't really give you a lot of room for argument there, huh? They just say, this is the way it should be, this is the right way, and if you disagree with me, then you are the problem. Well, then now I have no choice. I just have to agree with you or accept that I'm the problem. Well, you know what? I'm actually okay with being the problem.
at the heart of all great D&D campaigns is conflict, period.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, if your players are sitting there and you have to fabricate some sort of conflict that doesn't involve power or resources or control, your players are going to roll their eyes at whatever garbage you come up with and say, well, that's not believable. Why would they want to do that? Just because, I mean, it is laughably stupid what these people have written in this article, or not article, but in this source book. Um,
Oh, it's so good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is just like it is so easily, an average person could sit there and think to themselves, well, you know, what about, since the beginning of time, every, little tribe of Neanderthals going and beating the heads in of Homo sapiens down the river to take their deer meat and mastodon meat because the Neanderthals don't have them. It has happened. The struggle for resources, um, the othering of people are again at its heart the story of conflict. And that is conflict is again at the heart of all of our great D&D campaigns.
That's right, because it's also at the heart of growth.
And you want to give your players a compelling reason to adventure. You want to give your players a uh, a villain or a big bad evil guy who is memorable, who is evil. Maybe you could give them kind of a story arc where maybe they didn't start out so bad, and then through no fault of their own, they ended up where they are because of terrible things that happened in their past, but they still have to be stopped. Um, but without all of that, what do you really have? Like at that point, like if you're just gonna like go out and exploring ruins of some ancient civilization, you're still disrespecting the culture of that civilization by raiding their tombs and taking all their stuff. Like there is no way to construct a campaign that would satisfy all of these people that would at the same time be really interesting and engaging.
Well,
Uh,
that's exactly what I was thinking, Matt. I mean, so here's your call to adventure. You're in a town, everything is hunky-dory, everyone has plenty of food, everyone's treated well. This town has never been raped, never been pillaged, never faced famine or fear. But we need you to go out and go to this dungeon to not kill anybody because we love orcs and orcs are people too. And also, evil doesn't really exist and religion isn't really a thing because that also creates conflict. But we need you to go to this dungeon and make stealth checks.
I don't know, sneak around and yeah,
I don't
I
know. I don't even know why you would. Because why would I? I mean, I'm in this awesome village where nothing bad ever happens. So, no?
yeah, I have yet to find one person who can explain any of this in a compelling reason as to why I need to completely change the style in which I DM. I mean, it is just simply beyond me that um, they would expect us. And you know what? It's even more than that. It's like they actually think that they are making a better world by by getting other people to play the way they think everyone should be playing. Like,
Who's looking at this and saying, "Oh yeah, right on."
yes, uh, I I've heard of people running anti-colonial games in which every person in their game world, their culture is right where it sprung up and it never moved out to any other bit of land, and everybody's got their original holdings. And I mean, it just I like trying to wrap my head around that. It feels very plastic and artificial. It doesn't feel like a real world.
Sounds sad.
Which is why I'm interested in finding out how much of the Greyhawk campaign that WotC is going to put into the new DMG, because that, if you look at the original Greyhawk documents, it's all about the migrations of people and the one culture steamrolling another culture and enveloping it and absorbing it. Um, so it'll be interesting seeing how they deal with all that. So I better get off this one because I'm really like
He's
putting
really
me in
worked
a
up,
bad
guys.
mood. Bad
All
mood.
right. Comment, like, subscribe. Tell us what you think. Tell us why we're right. Tell us why we were wrong. And take a look at our shop. But most of all, guys, stay safe and come back to have another round on us.
Yeah.